Hi everybody, so we're going to go through different types of hierarchy today. I'm wearing gloves because, stay safe. Anyways, so up here we have God. We're going to draw 3 lines around God, the Almighty, the Creator of all, the Most High. 3 lines for the Holy Trinity. Right? God operates on the level of divinity. Which is, of course, divine. It has a heavenly administration, or you can even say like Olympian, if you will, and that is however you interpret the divine, and that comprises, come on video, come on, that comprises cameras focusing and the supernature that all of this governs. Right? Are you with me so far? This is the hierarchy. On the same level as the supernature, we have the king. We're going to draw 2 lines around the king instead of 3. And this section here is where the king and God intersect. Right? With me? Cool. On the king, we have the level of the regality. The regality is, of course, regal. Which is of a royal administration, and has a royal administration, right? Which means, what is administered by royalty? The ministry. Make that better, M. You have your ministers of education, your ministers of defense and stuff. They all answer to, and this is the nature of hierarchy. Maybe I can get my camera to kind of focus. There we go. This is the nature of hierarchy. The ministries must answer to royalty because they have a royal administration, right? Her Majesty's, etc., right? Her Majesty's Customs Office, Her Majesty's this, right? Well, Her Majesty's Customs Office, for instance, would be ministry. Her Majesty's, Ministry of Defense, right? Things like that. Ministry of Education. All that has royalty, which they answer to. Part of the greater all regal, or the the crown level, right? And the governor over here of this level is the king. Just like God is the governor of the divine level up here, right? And there's an intersection between one and the other. So on the same level over here as ministry, go this way. What do we have here? Well, we have the state. We're going to draw 1 line around state for 1 circle, and this is the area where the king and the state intersect, right? But as you can see, God, Holy Trinity up here, 1, 2, 3 lines. We have here, the king has 2. The king's 2 bodies, if you will. Remember with me. If you'll remember with me, that's that's part of kingship. The king's 2 bodies. Well, this is how they're represented here, right? Which means the state has 1 line here. The state operates on the same level as the legality. Doing this through a camera is really weird. There we go. The legality, which operates and is itself legal. Right? Now, here's the interesting bit. There's a reason for this too. As regal is to royal, that necessarily means legal is to what? Now, the reason that this is, and it's exactly what you're inferring, the reason that this is because in Anglo-Saxon, the one of the mothers of the English language, G has for its symbol X, right? I'm not going to draw it over here, but X. X is the symbol for G. So in Latin, Rex is king. Rex makes lex. King makes law, right? Lex would be down here. We get regal because G equals X. That's where we also get legal from, because like law would be lex in Latin. Lex to league. Just like regal to reg. Oh, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, just rolled me on this. So as regal is to royal, legal is to loyal. Which means to betray somebody is against the literal letter of the law. And the law of the letter is the letter of the law. And this loyal administry of government, what does it govern? Well, the government. Right? On the same level. What comprises and is the government of the next level? It'd be civilian. Right? Now, the civilian does not... Now, we ran out of lines, like the solid lines up here. From God, you have the first, second, third, right? The king has 2 bodies. State has 1. What does the civilian get? We're going to draw a dotted line around civilian. Not going to send you into the black hole there, though. We're going to draw that off. No black holes today. The civilian. That operates on, of course, the civil level. S-I-V-I-L. I'm doing this to the camera and it sucks. The civility. Which is civil. Therefore, it is social. And this is the mode of administration for the society. So when you talk about socialists in politics, this is the level that they wish to concentrate power on, right? Now, you can also, if you wanted to flip that, you could also use the words, and you can interchange these too, and this is why this works out beautifully, politically speaking, as well, because, like, socialists have a tie-in with communism. Like, there's, they might disagree, but, just generally there is a relation between the two, philosophically, et cetera, right? Well, you can also not supplant, I'm sorry, that's the wrong word to use. You could also interchange the word social with communal and society with community, right? And therefore, there is a relation between socialism and communism. You don't even need to go into the philosophies to, see that. You can just tell by the terminology that social has a synonym with communal. Society has a synonym with community, right? So actually, let's write that over here. I didn't think about doing this, but this would be social or communal. And this would be society or community. Right? So when we talk about communism, this is the level that they wish to, concentrate power on. Socialists, communists. Over here, you don't need to even know anything about these philosophies to know that they have a relationship. Because these are synonyms, right? Just like up here, these are synonyms, regal and royal, which means that the logical the logical relationship would be as regal is to royal, legal is to loyal. right? Civil, civility. Civilian is the head of the civility, or at least civilians in the plural. Anyway, so what do we have over here? We have people. You guess you could put family here if you really want to. Now, people get no dotted line or any line of any kind. People are just there. Here is people. The lines represent the supernature, right? All the way down to the person. So you have up here, from like we said before, actually, I don't know if I said this in this video. I went through a couple of takes, but the highest, the most high up here is God, right? Creator. Down to the lowest. Or created. Creature, actually. Right? This is fun with language. So, people comprise, and they have the popularity. Your elections, etc. stuff. Popularity contests. Miss America. American Idol. The Voice. The X Factor. America's Got Talent. The presidential election. These are all examples of popularity contests. Right? So, I guess we don't need to underline that, because it's already underlined, sort of. Which, of course, is popular. This all comes from the Latin root of populus, or popula, either or. Which means, what level is here? Personal. You have your personal codes of honor and stuff like that, like whatever, right? Which means we have now arrived at the person, the individual. This is the hierarchy of how everything sort of works. If you want to look at it a different way, these are the different levels. The governors are up here. The divine level, you have God. The royal level, you have the king. The legal level, you have the state. The civil level, you have the civilian. And the personal level, you have the person. God, divinity. King, regality. State, legality. Civilian, civility, etc., etc. If it's easier to think about it this way, let me get all the way down to the person. So, when we talk about politics, this tells us a couple of things. First of all, this tells us that there is a relationship between socialists and communists on some level, right? There is a relationship between civility or even interpersonally. Like if you're trying to be civil to a friend, you know, there's a certain, like if you're here at the interpersonal level, right? And you are interacting with another person, you're interacting on the interpersonal level, right? That's between two people. If there's a couple of people and you guys want to decide something amongst yourselves, well, you take a popular vote. And based upon that popularity, you might have a result, right? So that concentration of power, we don't even have to represent, that concentration of power would be like here. But there is no power there, as you see. There is no such thing as popular sovereignty. None. Sovereignty, by the way, is what these lines also represent. The sovereign power, essentially, is what this is. Power, legitimacy, authority, that's what this is. Up here. There's an essence of it because there's a relationship here. These lines create something, a relationship between God and the king. The king has a relationship between the king and the state. The state must answer to the king, just as the king must answer to God. There's a relationship here between the state and the civilian. Civilians get to vote in elections. Not every person does. Not all people get to vote in any state's elections, you have to be a civilian of that state, right? That state must answer to a king. The king answers to God. Now, what does this tell us about, say, republics versus like monarchies, right? This is your line, everybody, between church and state. The king. The king is the natural separation, actually not even separation, but the intermediary, and sort of stands between as the intercessor and intermediary of the state and having any authority at all to rule and govern. The king. Without the king, put my pen here, but without the king, there is no authority to govern. This is where authority comes from. Authority does not originate here. For the same way and same reason that in the forest, you have grass. You have flowers, right? These flowers can take a vote, but they're never going to be as tall as the tree. That's why you don't think of forests for flowers, you think of forests for trees. But even the tallest tree in the forest, if you want to look at it this way, personal, this level here, up to people, right? Then you have the civilian for the flowers. The trees would be the state, even a mountain, which is the highest on Earth, is not as high as the sun. To say that there is a right to rule that comes from here is like saying that the grass is dictating terms to the sun. That's not how things work. Power comes from the highest to the lowest. If you want to get a little esoteric for a second, everything in this universe tends to be a circle, which means that which originates from above comes down from below. You see this all the time with, carbon dioxide. Plants intake CO2 and exhale O2. That's how we breathe. This happens on all levels, even up to there. So spiritually, if you want to look at this, to originate from above, to come down to below, means necessarily we are all on a journey. Every person is on a journey to home. And there you have the hierarchy of how everything works.